So just welcome to all of you. As I always say, I can't stress it enough that everything is made possible by the fact that you come along as an audience, wanting to hear what our speaker has to say, or you know, whatever you're here for. Maybe you're here to for that small breakout group that we're going to have in a half an hour's time, which is an opportunity to actually meet somebody much more personally. But we have a big treat in store for you today, because it's Leonie. And those of you who've been following the videos that I've been making with Leonie over the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks, I think, will know that she is a fantastic cook. She's got wonderful ideas, and she certainly opened my eyes to a lot of things. I'm a bit of a refusenick when it comes to cooking. I'm quite resistant to the idea. I don't like cooking, I don't enjoy it, and but I had got stuck in the most incredible rut when it came to food. I mean, I eat a lot of salmon, and you know, for a while the most that I would do with it was wrap it up in a bit of tin foil, shove it in the oven and eat it like that, and that is very tasteless. So the good thing about working with Leonie over the last few weeks is that she has inspired me, and I hope she's inspired a lot of you to understand that healthy eating isn't about fuss, it's not about bother, it's just about knowledge, understanding, and then, you know, some methods that she shows for how to get the most amazing results with relatively little effort. Believe me, if I'm prepared to cook a meal that Leonie's showing us, then that's proof that it's not too much trouble. I've made chicken curry last week, and very proud of myself I was. Used coconut milk for the first time, but I got a very good result. It was tasty, it was delicious, it was everything that Leonie promised me it would be. So what we're here to do this afternoon is to talk really about Leonie's approach to the whole subject of food and health, because it's an incredibly important message and story that we need to hear, given that I think I can fairly confidently say that everybody watching this and on this call is at an age where health is a primary concern. And if there's anything that we can do to enhance and support a healthy lifestyle and future, then I think we're all ears, and I'm certainly always interested in that. So Leonie, I'm going to start off by just you know, basically tell us your story, because I know that you got into this whole area of cooking and food and nutrition through your own experience with a health crisis almost. So let me come to you for you to tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, my first encounter with a health issue I had was actually at the age of 19, when I used to play volleyball, and I had to do a sports test, and I was diagnosed at the time with extremely high blood pressure, so much so that I was straight away rushed to the hospital. They did investigations, and they found there was a blockage on my kidney, but they operated on me and it disappeared, so that was fine. My second encounter with high blood pressure was when I was expecting our eldest son 29 years ago. My blood pressure was extremely high, so he had to be induced. After that, blood pressure came down again, and then the second son was born. But after that, the blood pressure didn't go down. It stayed up. I was 34 at the time, and the doctor said to me, Leonie, you need to go on medication. I don't particularly want to take medication. You have to take it sometimes, but if you can avoid it, I thought, oh, I don't really want to be on medication for the rest of my life. So I did some research, but when the doctor said to me, Leonie, if you don't go on medication, do you want to die of a heart attack with 2 young children? And of course, that's not what I wanted to do. So I was on medication for about 14 years. And then I was diagnosed with high cholesterol. At the time when I was diagnosed in Holland, where I come from, there had been a big hype in the media that there were a lot of people taking medication for high cholesterol, but had a lot of side effects, and it was not really necessary that they took it. So I talked to my parents. Both my parents had taken themselves off the high cholesterol medication, and I thought, I'm not try to avoid to do this. So I came on a family party. I met one of my aunts, and she said, well, I have done something which might be of help to you, which is like a 3-month healthy eating plan. And I thought, well, and if you do that, your body will be in tip-top shape and you can be the best version that you are. So I thought, wow, that sounds interesting. Let's just try it, because it was just normal food. And I did. And as a result, my blood pressure came down and my cholesterol came down. I used to suffer from migraines as well. They disappeared. And that for me meant, wow, this is amazing, the power of food. I lost a stone in weight. I wasn't overweight. That wasn't my issue, but I had a lot of visceral fat around my vital organs. And with this particular plan, I managed to get rid of that and get rid of the blood pressure and also the medication. So, and that's fantastic. And that's all by eating a normal, healthy food.
Okay, so that, I mean, that's a pretty clear indication for you anyway. The proof was that you started with these health issues, and at the end of it, you didn't have those health issues anymore. So I suppose really what everything developed from that, did it? You know, you started to get interested from that. But you know, tell us how you developed into the person you are now, because you actually have a whole business around it, and you write cookery books and everything. So what developed from there?
Well, that issue, that sort of journey that I was on, I was like, I felt sort of I'd given the gift of health through eating healthy food, and I wanted to share that with lots of other people. Now, in Holland, there are other people that do the same as I do, and I thought, well, I live in the UK, how can I do this? So I translated the whole plan from Dutch into English with the recipes, etc. And that was the start of my business. And that came about because of the passion for how powerful food is. And that's what I want to show people. So I started with that 3-month healthy eating plan here in the UK. But then people said, oh, can you make recipes? I would like to have some healthy recipes. And I said, yeah, fine. So can you make a book? Yes, I'll make a book. Would you like it online? And where ladies prefer to have a book. So that was my first book 6 years ago, my recipe book. And the recipes are all sugar-free, low gluten-free and low in carbohydrates. And they're all normal ingredients, but they're just calculated that they don't raise your blood sugar level as much as other foods would do. So, then I started to do readings. I was invited to offices to speak about it, women's groups, WI, all those sort of organizations. I was invited to be a speaker. I do consults, and I will consult with a body scan, and people come here, but of course that's now not possible. So it is developed in much more. I did cooking demonstrations in a restaurant in Kingston, where I live close by. I live in Leatherhead. But they are closed down. So I'm intending to do cooking demonstrations online in the future, but maybe also here in my kitchen. So I have got lots of plans and still developing.
Okay, and you're both passionate, but you're very good at what you do. So you're very convincing in everything that you say. That's what I find about you, anyway. Very inspirational. Tell us a little bit more about those diseases, those illnesses, those things that can trip us up, you know, as we go through our lives, that are helped enormously by change of diet.
Well, I think most health conditions can improve by having a healthy diet. There are certain ones, of course, that can't, but a healthy diet is so important. Arthritis, blood pressure, cholesterol, osteoarthritis. It can help with the menopause, because all the foods that we eat have medicinal purposes, have got vitamins, minerals in there that are healthy for you and can improve your health.
You mentioned migraines. So I've suffered with migraine a lot during my life, and I think most migraines are one of these enormously wide terms. You know, everybody knows what a migraine feels like if they suffer from it, but you have to find your own triggers. So one of mine is chocolate, sadly. Another is citrus. So I'm not very good with citrus fruits. So, you know, it's really interesting how your own body individually responds to different things within the diet. And what would you say is the most helpful from the point of view of weight loss? So I know that there'll be a lot of people on this call who are perhaps struggling with their weight, perhaps because of lockdown. Unquestionably, during this time, it's been difficult to resist the temptation. You know, boredom is an issue, as is the desire to sort of treat yourself. So maybe the odd extra glass of wine, you know, the odd extra well, box of chocolates or whatever. So what is your approach if a woman comes to you and says, you know, I really, really want to lose weight, but I've been on every diet under the sun and I've got nowhere with it? How do you help them?
Well, I think it's firstly important, your weight is important, but the first thing is your health. I think if you start to eat healthy and improve your health, you will lose the weight. The first thing I recommend clients to do if they want to lose weight is to cut out all sugar. And I just want to show you, maybe that is appropriate, and I just want to show you how important it is that you reduce your sugar. The government here in the UK says that on average, we would recommend to have 6 teaspoons of sugar. Now, a teaspoon of sugar is about 4 grams. Now, 6 teaspoons of sugar, I've just got it here in front of me, is about this much in 1 glass. If you, for example, have a glass of orange juice, this is a very old bottle because I can't bring myself to buying a new one, you will add about 1.5 teaspoons. So you're then on 7.5 teaspoons. The average, if you have a Coca-Cola, for example, has got about 10 teaspoons, which is this one. So that's about that much. And then if you have a ready-made meal, like a sweet and sour chicken, it would come to about 15 teaspoons of sugar, which is this, which is an awful lot of sugar. And if you have a lot of sugar, it will be transformed in the body into fat. Because if you don't burn it up as energy, so you don't use it up by breathing and walking around and doing your exercise, it needs to go somewhere. And then it is stored as fat. And you have 2 types of fat. You have fat under your skin, like around your hips and your arms, which is subcutaneous fat. But then you also have fat around your vital organs. And that fat can cause health issues. So around your heart, your liver, your kidney. If you can get rid of that fat, that's important. Then you will, first of all, improve your health. And then you will lose the weight. So if you focus on eating, for example, well, I've got a whole list. I've got about 12 tips that you can follow, just general tips to help you to have a better life and be healthier and lose weight as well. Because we in the UK tend to have too much sugar. Just coming back to that. I have here a kilo of sugar. Now, how many kilos of sugar do you think the average English person consumes? Just an idea. Give me a guess.
Over what period of time?
A year.
A year.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
how much sugar would? Maybe people can put it in the chat as well if they know if they think or have a guess at it. This is a kilo of sugar. So how much do you think the average English person in the UK consumes per year in sugar? And that's sugar in everything, in fruit, in everything.
I have absolutely no idea. I no way to work it out, really. Somebody's just guessed 10 kilograms.
I could see that. Well, you have to go up a little bit more than that, about 6 times. It's about 60 till 70 kilos on average per year that the English person eats in sugar. And 15% is actually that we know we add it to our tea or coffee. But 85% is hidden in the foods that we eat. And often we don't know it's sugar because they have 65 different names for sugar. So it's very difficult to cut it out. Plus, it is highly addictive. It's 10 times more addictive than heroin, or 8 times more addictive than heroin. So to get rid of the sugar craving is difficult. I know, Tricia, you struggled with sugar, didn't you? But changing it made a lot of difference for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, all of these are just alarming statistics. The thing that alarms me a lot about what you said there is the hidden sugar. That so much, you know, things like tomato ketchup's full of sugar. You know, so sugar is added by the manufacturers to food because it makes it taste better and it makes it more addictive. So, you know, you're likely to eat more of it, and of course then you buy more of it and they sell more of it. So it's a sort of really vicious cycle from that point of view. And I did mention this actually yesterday when we were on our Magic Monday makeup session that I just had all these lumps on my face, painful spots. And I started working with Lindsay, who I do exercises with, as you know, every Thursday now for the Super Troopers, and anybody else who wants to watch. And she just said to me, Tricia, I've cut sugar out of my diet. I love it, but it does me no good whatsoever. It actually makes me feel really unwell. And I suggest you try. So I did. And it's not been easy. I'm not going to claim it's easy because I've got a very, very sweet tooth. My argument about that is that, you know, in the post-war world into which I was born, anything sweet was a massive treat. I mean, my mum, after we came through rationing, she used to make treacle sponge puddings and flapjacks and, you know, coffee and walnut sponge cake. And she was a terrific baker. And she just thought that giving us those things was good for us, because we'd been so, they'd been so deprived of those things during the war. So I just love those foods. And, you know, the biggest treat for me would be a great big piece of cake with a cup of tea, which I would indulge in most days, in fact. So I think food is associated with a lot of emotion. And of course, as you say, it's addictive, it's hidden. You know, it's a massive challenge, but I had a serious, long, hard look at what I was eating and drinking, took sugar out of my tea and all that sort of thing. And the results have been fantastic. So, I mean, the proof is the fact that I now have clear skin. I have, you know, I very rarely get spots anymore, and it's really worked for me. So yeah. I'm a big advocate of that. Tell us a little bit more about your 12 tips.
Okay, well, I'll read them out one by one, and if you have any comments on them, please let me know. So the first one I would say is to avoid eating any processed convenience foods as much as you can, because they contain a lot of sugar, they're high in fat, and also often salt, and they make us addicts basically. And this means that you as less ready-made meals, pizzas as possible. So that's the first tip. The second one is eat smaller portions, but regularly. So don't limit yourself to 3 main meals a day. Have little snacks in between and make your lunch, breakfast and dinner a little bit smaller, because each time when you eat something, your blood sugar levels will rise. And we want to try to have the blood sugar level on an even keel. So that's the second point. The third one is make sure that you always have a good breakfast. I don't know, Tricia, what do you have for breakfast?
Well, I'm not sure you're going to particularly approve, but it works for me. I often have fruit for breakfast. So try and have a variety of fruit and have the fruit as colourful as I can have it. I eat it with full fat yogurt. So I've learned not to eat low fat yogurt because it's full of sugar. That's how they get the taste into it. So it might be low fat, but it's very high in sugar. So I eat Greek yogurt that's full fat, and I sprinkle seeds on top. So pumpkin seeds, you know, sunflower seeds, things like that. And that is actually enough for me. So I don't eat anything else then until I have my lunch, and I often eat soup for lunch. And I've just started making my own soup, which I'm very proud of. So
fantastic. Well, I think that's a very good breakfast. Ideally you would have 3 different breakfasts a week, so not have the same every day and have some variation in that. So yogurt with fruit and seeds is a fantastic option. Scrambled eggs, porridge with some plant-based milk and fruit in it. So then you already have 3 different breakfast. I made some lovely breakfast muffins in one of our videos. That's ideal as well. So do have a breakfast, but bring some variation in it. It's better because each time you eat something different nutrients, vitamins and minerals will come in the body. So the fourth one is eat at least 5 fruit and vegetables a day. Well, that's the government requirement. And I read somewhere that there's only 85% of the population that actually eat 5 fruit and vegetables a day. Now, ideally, in my mind, is better to eat about 8 till 10, which is quite a lot in all the colors of the rainbow. And if you eat fruit, don't have more than 2 or 3 pieces of fruit. It's better to have more vegetables than fruit because fruit is still sugar. And again, it will raise your blood sugar level. So fruit juices are out of the question because they're very high in sugar and it's concentrated. If you have an orange, you have the fiber in there, which will stop the rise in blood sugar level. So it's better to have a whole fruit.
And just what you just said there about, you know, get your amount of fresh fruit and vegetables up. When I cooked your chicken curry, what was interesting was that it had courgette in it, it had red pepper, and what's the other thing that goes into, oh, broccoli. Yeah. So it was fantastic because I was making it. It was very colourful, but it wasn't just the, you know, chicken curry with onion and garlic or whatever in it. It had the vegetables in with it, which was brilliant because I felt immediately that I was adding the amount of you know, vegetables I was eating. And a lot of your recipes, we'll talk about your book in a minute, but a lot of your recipes are brilliant for upping the amount of vegetables that you're having, which I think is really helpful. So.
It is very important to have more vegetables in your diet, and we don't tend to have a lot generally in the UK. Maybe the ladies here will do, I don't know, but generally we don't eat enough vegetables. So the next point was about fat. Now, if you know that since the 1970s, fat consumption has gone down, but obesity has doubled, it is important to have good fats. It's good for to store our vitamins. Some of our vitamins are stored in fat. It's good for our brain. It's good for our bones. For people who suffer from arthritis, it's really important they have good fats. Now, the good fats, I mean the fat in fish, so in salmon, in trout, mackerel, anchovies and sardines. They are actually, the anchovies and sardines are the best fishes for fat because they're the small fishes and they are not being polluted so much. So they're very healthy for you. Then also olive oil, coconut oil, olives, nuts and seeds. So they're all very good fats for you. Fruit juices we have discussed. I would not recommend to have it at all. And alcohol is another one that I would limit my intake of alcohol. In the week, somebody asked me, I think via the Super Troopers, what does Leonie drink? And I must tell you my experience with alcohol. I was 14 years old and we went on a school trip. And we had hidden beer and wine, and we had taken that with us, as you do as a youngster. And I tasted the beer. I was like, oh no, I don't like this at all. The wine, I didn't like it at all. I was like, why would I bother drinking this? But okay, when I got older, I tried it again and again, but it just doesn't do it for me. So I don't drink any alcohol. But if you do, I would recommend always to drink it with water. And maybe have it end the weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe 1 or 2 glasses, and then red wine, because red wine is not as sweet as white wine. So that's my tip on alcohol. Make your meals from scratch. Sorry, Tricia, did you have a question?
Well, just about the alcohol thing, I had exactly the same experience. I can remember tasting alcohol for the first time and thinking, that is disgusting.
Yeah.
And never got over that initial disgust. So I, like you, I don't drink and haven't never really drunk alcohol. But it doesn't. I'm surrounded by people who drink alcohol, I have to say. So it's not something that has any message that's got across to anybody nearest and dearest to me. And I can see, sometimes I regret the fact that I don't drink alcohol, to be honest with you. I do think that there are times when it must be lovely to have a glass of wine and feel yourself just, you know, that it does affect you in a really, really positive way. And so I think that alcohol, it's just really, isn't it? It's about the level of consumption. And of course, as you say, red wine, I mean, one of the reasons why sort of Mediterranean diet, you know, people who live in the south of France and Italy and places like that, they often have, always with food, a couple of glasses of red wine, because red wine is full of flavonoids. It's actually got good stuff in it. So, you know, the trouble is with being, you know, if you're a non-drinker like I am, you'll become quite moralistic about it and, you know, like po-faced. I don't say I'm not either moralistic or po-faced. I can totally get why people do love alcohol. It's not for me, but that's fine. So it's just a question of the amount that you drink, and the tendency for alcohol to perhaps you need more for the same effect, which is potentially the danger, I suppose. Anyway, carry on with your list.
Yeah, okay. So the next one was make your meals from scratch with good quality ingredients. So bought locally, farm shop, organic, as long as it doesn't come from the other side of the world because of the carbon footprint. If you make your meals and you have to have some protein with it. So ideally fish because of the fat, chicken, low fat mince like turkey mince, chicken mince, or beef mince is really good. Not things like fish fingers, that I wouldn't recommend. So have your meals. Once you have a meal, divide your plate into like 50% vegetables, 30% protein, so that's your chicken or fish, and then 20% your carbohydrates. So that could be your rice, your pasta. I mean, we talked about replacing your rice with cauliflower rice or with courgette, which is spiralized courgette. And then you have a whole plate full of vegetables and protein. So that's a good one to have. Also exercise in your life. It does needs to be walking. I know you do your classes with Lindsay, which is fantastic, but on average about 2.5 hours of exercise a week, which would come 30 minutes of walking each day for 5 days a week. Some gardening will do, any exercise. Now, water is one which we might not have discussed. We were talking about alcohol, but water, on average, I would recommend people to have about 2 till 2.5 liters of water a day. Now, if you know your weight in kilos, it would be good to have 30 milliliters of water per kilo that you weigh. So if you weigh 50 kilos, you should drink at least 1.5 liters of water, just as an example. Now, I get often clients saying to me, Leonie, I don't like water, or I don't like it cold. You don't need to drink it cold. You can have it warm. And if you don't like water, why not put some cucumber, some lemon, some lime, strawberries, mint in it, just to make it a bit more tasty. So that's a very good tip. It's actually very important because it fluxes out all the toxins, it fluxes out all the fat, and etc. And the last one is to get enough sleep. It's got nothing to do with eating, but it's really important you get about 7 till 8 hours sleep at night. Preferably you go to bed before at around 10:30, and you turn your laptops off about an hour, hour and a half before you go to sleep, because the hours before 12 are the best hours and give you the most rest. And that were my tips. So
I take issue with that last one because I'm a night owl. I can't, there's no point in me going to bed before about 11:30. I would just lie there and toss and turn and turn and toss, so I'm not tired. So by listening to my body clock and by sleeping in the natural circadian rhythm that I've got, I put my light out about 12, perhaps 12:30, but I sleep like a log then, Leonie. I don't hardly move for 8 hours. And and then I wake, my alarm goes off about 8:30, and sometimes I ignore it. The thing is that if you sleep, I think according to the natural rhythm of your body, you get the rest that you need. So I think that's, the better sleep that you have before 12, it's better, the sleep you have before 12 o'clock is more valuable. I don't understand that. I try, for years and years and years, I tried that rhythm, but it didn't work for me. Now that I'm older and really listen to what I need and want, I sleep really well. So
you might be an exception.
Well, I'd be interested to hear what other people have got to say.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting idea, but now that I do what feels really right for me, I feel better for it, and I'm incredibly rested. Anyway, that was absolutely fantastic. Such good advice there. And can I say to everybody watching, do come and have a look at the videos which are on YouTube, because they're all there still. Leonie does a really good variety of things, and for tomorrow she's doing an incredible chocolate mousse, which I'm very excited about. So really looking forward to that. We've got some questions, Bryony.
Yes, yeah, we've got quite a few. So the first one is, Leonie, in your recipe book, you often refer to 1 portion of protein, 1 portion of veg, etc. How many portions of each thing do you need in any one day?
Okay, well, I would recommend to have about 2 till 4 portions of protein, fiber about 4 or 5, good fats about 3, fruit 2 fruit portions, and vegetables as many as you like.
Okay. And Monica has said that her appetite has decreased as she's aged, and she can't put any weight on. How do you deal with this, and how can she increase her appetite?
Oh, you mean she's not hungry?
Yeah.
Okay. I would try to eat little bits every couple of hours, and see if that would be of help. So small portions, little bits every 2 hours.
Okay.
And start with things like fish, vegetables, soups, that sort of thing.
Okay, then. And a similar question to the one that we received the other day, but what are your thoughts on tea and coffee? And what other hot drinks would you recommend if you weren't to have tea and coffee?
Yeah, okay, so I don't drink any caffeinated drinks, so I don't drink PG tips or a cup of coffee. So I would recommend to have green tea, which is a really good tea. It's a detoxifying and also it burns off fat. Herbal teas. If I have coffee, I have it about twice a week, and then I have a decaffeinated coffee with some soya milk. That's my sort of treat. My husband and I go out once a week to a lovely cafe, and they make the best coffee that I like. So that's and drink water really. But herbal teas are very good. You can make your own teas with ginger in it or mint if that's what you like. So yeah.
Lovely. And then we've also had this question a couple of times as well. If you're not a celiac, why would you advise that people don't eat gluten? Why would you advise that they have gluten-free meals?
Yeah, well, that's a very important question and a very good question. A lot of your health is determined by your gut, 80%. So it's very important to keep your gut healthy. There are often people that have an intolerance to gluten but don't actually know it. They don't have any effect. But you will see that if you cut out gluten for a couple of weeks, say 3 till 4 weeks, you'll get more energy. So that's one of the reasons why we cut it out.
Okay.
Just on the gluten thing, I cut out bread at the same time that I cut out sugar, and that's bread is definitely implicated for me in my skin problems that I have. Sometimes when I'm in France, I'll buy a baguette. You know, it's delicious, it's fresh, it's crusty. You know, it's all that French bread thing, and I'm driving home with it on the seat of my car for the people that are staying with me, and I just sort of pull off a hank of it, you know, a heel of it, the heel of the loaf, and eat it on my way home. And I get there, and then 2 or 3 days later, I'll have a big outbreak. You know, my skin will break out because it just upsets me. So it upsets my system. So I think that I wouldn't have said that I was gluten intolerant or had a problem with gluten, but I obviously do. Because it affects my skin so dramatically.
Yeah, and often when you cut it out, as I said, you get more energy, you feel better, and there are certain things that you will see an improvement in, like you saw it in your skin. Other people might have it with eczema, that sort of conditions. So I would just try it and see if it makes a difference.
Perfect. And Jane wants to know, what about cheeses? What sort of cheeses would you recommend are good for you, or you'd pick over other cheeses?
Well, my absolute favorite is a sheep cheese called Manchego, which I absolutely love, and goat's cheese. They are better because the cheeses we have from cows are not always reared in a natural way. So they can be full of antibiotics and other sort of stuff. So, and goats and sheep are reared more natural. So that's why I recommend them.
Okay, perfect.
And sorry to say to my fellow villagers in Edam, where I come from, not Edam cheese, because it's very high in fat. And another good fat cheese, if you want to have dairy, is a low-fat cheddar. Low-fat cheeses, that they could be, but my best is Manchego or goat cheese.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And another question. So in terms of coconut milk, would you use full-fat coconut milk in your recipes?
Yes, I do.
And
Yes.
is there a difference between full-fat? Is it more healthy to have the full-fat coconut milk, or?
Well, full-fat coconut milk is the least processed, so I advocate to have the least processed foods. Any foods that has been, like I had a discussion with somebody about when you go to the supermarket, stay on the outside of the supermarket, not on the inside, because on the more you go from the outside to the inside, the more processed the foods are. So I'm always an advocate as natural as possible.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's okay, no problem.
I think I just saw somebody put a question about wheat for me. Was it, do you
Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry, just seen this one. So this is from Hannah. Tricia, do you cut out wheat products in total?
I do really. I don't think there's anything that I eat that's got wheat in it. What other things have wheat in? I don't even know what has wheat in it.
Bread, crackers, pastas.
Okay, so I eat rye Vita, the rye one. Oats. So I look for things with oats in, not wheat.
Oats, Tricia, is better than normal crackers. Like the rye Vita is more based on a bread type, so there's also some gluten in that. And oats are normally better for your gut, full of fiber.
Yeah.
So that's better to have.
Yeah. So as a treat, sometimes with a cup of tea at 4 o'clock, I buy gluten-free Nairn chocolate chip oat biscuits, and they're delicious. So I find them in the gluten bit aisle of Waitrose, and they're very crisp and they're just fantastic. They're about 20 calories, I think. So I think they're hugely indulgent tasting, but they're actually quite low in calories. So, and free of those things that we know we shouldn't be eating. So there we go. Any more?
Tricia, can I say something on the calories? I don't really look at calories. I look at carbohydrates. So I look at the sugars, basically, not at calories. Because if you have a Magnum ice cream, that is nearly the total amount. Oh, we have a cat on the we have. If you have a Magnum ice cream, that's nearly the amount of calories a woman could have in a day. It's got no nutrients, no vitamins, no minerals in it. So I would rather that the ladies look at the packaging, look at the sugar at the back, and at the amount of carbohydrates, and as low as possible. And ultimately, it is like if you eat 80% of the time healthily, the other 20% you can have a Nan's oat biscuit with chocolate on it. That's not a problem.
I'm delighted that you said that, Leonie. They are lovely. Any more, Bryony?
I think, someone has asked, Tricia, do you use wine at all in your cooking? I think I know the answer to this.
I don't have wine in the house. I mean, you know, to use wine in my cooking, I'd have to have wine in the house. And no, I never buy it. I never have it. And no is the answer. Don't even think about it. It's really weird. Leonie will probably back me up on this. If you don't drink, you don't think. It
No.
just isn't on your radar. And the other thing is, I've never felt pressurized to drink. You know, when I've led a pretty normal life from the point of view of social interactions with people, and I have never been in a situation where people have tried to persuade me to drink. I mean, they just haven't. I just say I don't drink, and they just, you know, get over it. It's fine. It's not a thing. You know, it doesn't bother me, so I don't think it bothers them really. Okay, let's. I think that's it. Yes, Bryony. Okay. Yeah. So I just need to wrap this up. To thank you very much indeed, Leonie. That was an absolute delight.
You are a real pleasure. Nice to see all those lovely ladies. Thank you for joining us.
And let me just tell everybody what they're going to have from you tomorrow when I'm with you in your kitchen. So you're planning a Celeriac Stew. So this is a really interesting way to create a vegetable dish, which you can serve with fish, and a really amazing chocolate mousse, which you tell me is going to have avocado in it and banana, which
that's it.
How exciting.
And chocolate.
and chocolate, of course, because it's chocolate mousse. But yes, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I'm sure it will be delicious, and so do join us for that tomorrow when Leonie cooks up a feast again in her kitchen. And I do hope that that has encouraged you to think about the kind of food that you're serving and the nutritional value of it. Let me just show you Leonie's book. So this is her latest book. It's very easy to follow. Photographs of all the meals so that you know that what you're trying to create. And you can get this from Leonie's website. It's not available anywhere except from Leonie herself. And I know that she personally puts them in the envelope, addresses the address and sends them off to you in the post. So it's not a big publishing thing that's going on there, but they're excellent books. And how much are they, Leonie?
They are $17.99.
$17.99.
It includes postage. Normally the book is $17.99 plus postage, but it's on special offer.
Yeah, so I know a lot of you've already bought Leonie's book.
Yeah, I see a lady already. Tammy is holding one up as well.
Yeah. So
thank you, Tammy.
Yeah, but it's excellent, and I followed the recipe for the chicken curry the other day, and even though Leonie demonstrated it, but it was very easy to follow. So you can get it from Leonie's website. That will be on the underneath this video, and you can see it underneath all the videos that where Leonie's doing the cooking. So I do hope you'll be interested in perhaps getting one of those books if you really want to eat well, eat healthily, and get the benefits from doing it.
And Tricia, if the ladies want to do a little bit more, have a look maybe at my online plan if they want to get a bit healthier. It's also on special offer. So
okay. Excellent. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you've enjoyed that. Our second bright spot of the week after yesterday's Magic Makeup Monday. Tomorrow, Leonie telling us how to do those two delicious dishes. Thursday, I'm going to be toning up with Lindsay, and this week we're doing flexibility. Very, very important that you can, bend and move and do all the things that you need to do to live your life well. And on Friday, we're discussing the film Heat and Dust. It's a 1980s film with Julie Christie and Greta Scacchi. It's a merchant ivory film, and it's set in India. So hopefully that's something that you might like to join us to discuss. So that's the program for this week. And we'll again say thank you to Leonie and goodbye to all of you. And thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
It was a real pleasure. Nice to meet you all. Take care.